Hello chess lovers, and I'm really sorry that I didn't upload any videos since mid-February. This is because I was severely ill during this time. I sincerely apologize to you guys for this. But now I'm fine, I'm back again. I welcome you all to my series Chess Opening Tricks and Strategies, where I share different chess variation which is still played at the highest level. So in my previous video I shared everything you must know about the max lung attack, but today I'm gonna share to you another aggressive variation of the max lung attack, that is the Morphy attack. So if you are new to my channel, please subscribe it and press the bell icon in order not to miss my future uploads. So without further ado, let's start with it. Here, after the move e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4, knight to f6, d4, e takes d4, castles, knight captures on e4, and okay, so after e captures on d4, in the previous video I showed you everything about the bishop to c5 move, but today I'm gonna show you this variation, knight captures on e4. So after knight captures on e4, white should continue the attack with rook to e1, just pinning this knight. And now there are two options from black's perspective. The first one is d5 and the second one is f5. So let's see what happens if black plays f5. So after f5, white is having this bishop to g5, and after bishop to e7, bishop captures e7, and now here there are two choices from black, like queen captures e7 or knight captures on e7. So knight captures on e7, this looks very logical because this move just unpins this knight on e4. But now let's see what happens. So after knight captures on e7, white is having queen captures on d4 with an attack on the g7 pawn, and the only good reply in this position is d5, because here the black's king is pretty much exposed. This bishop is guarding this diagonal, this queen is also guarding, this queen also attacking this g7 pawn. It's pretty much dangerous for black. So here d5 would be good because this move is just blocking this bishop, and at the same time it's just supporting this knight. But after d5, white is having an amazing knight to c3 move, an entire piece sacrificed by white in order to gain some counterplay on the king side. So after d captures on c4, white is having queen captures on g7, and after rook to g8, queen captures on h7, and knight to f6 and queen to h4, white has managed to destroy black's king side, and black king will be in a mating net very soon. Also, white can start his attack by the move knight to g5. So in this position, knight captures on e7 would be a blunder. So after queen captures on e7, which is the main move in this variation, white is having knight captures on d4, and after knight captures on d4, queen captures on d4, and look at this, the same thing happens. This bishop is guarding this diagonal, preventing black's king from castling kingside, and also this knight is badly pinned. Here f3 is coming, so all in all it's a winning position for white. So in this position, f5 would be a positional blunder. So the only good reply from the black perspective in this position is d5, which looks logical because this d5 is just defending this knight and also counter-attacking this bishop. But here white is having an amazing peak sacrifice, that is bishop captures on d5. So after queen captures on d5, white is having another amazing move, that is knight to c3, which at first sight looks like a blunder, but here if you notice carefully that this knight is pinned and this pawn is pinned, you can find out that this knight on c3 is untouchable. So in this position, three moves have been tried by black. The first and the most common is queen to h5, and other moves are queen to a5 or queen to d8. Let's see one by one. Here, queen to h5 looks logical because if white plays any move like knight captures on d4, then black will have queen captures on d1 to swap up the queen of the board. So after queen to h5, white should play knight captures on e4, and just now white is threatening a very bad discovery, like knight to g3 will just nab the queen. So black can defend this discovery in two ways. Like black can play bishop to e7 or maybe bishop to e6. So let's see one by one. Here, if black plays bishop to e7, then white is having a very aggressive move, bishop to g5. And now, if your opponent is not habituated with this, then he may blunder with f6. So after f6, white just simply take this pawn, and now this bishop is untouchable on f6, since if black tried to capture this bishop with g pawn, like g captures on f6, then after knight captures on f6, comes with an attack on the queen as well as comes with check. So, and this bishop is pinned. So all in all, it will be a winning game for white. And if your opponent plays bishop captures on f6, then knight captures on f6 comes with a double attack on the king as well as an attack on the queen. So here black is definitely going to lose the queen. So if in this position black castles kingside, then white is having knight to g3, which comes with a double attack on this bishop, and as well as an attack on the queen. So here after queen to g6, then bishop captures on e7, knight captures on e7, and rook captures on e7. Here white will emerge with a clear knight up and will very easily win the game. So guys, we have seen that bishop to e7 will not work in this position. And now let's see what happens if black plays bishop to e6. So here black's idea is clear. Black just wants to castle queenside. So white will have to prevent this castle by playing bishop to g5. And now here black has a few more responses. Here black can try bishop to b4, which looks like the most aggressive one. Here black can try f6. Here h6 is also in probability. So let's see one by one. So if black plays bishop to b4, which is most aggressive in this position, here white will reply with c3, and after d captures on c3, b captures on c3, and bishop to a5, here white is having queen to d2. And now here black has two choices. For example, black can play bishop to b5, bishop to b6, or black can castle kingside. Here. So let's see one by one. So here if black plays bishop to b6, then knight to g3 will trap the queen. For example, here if the queen moves to the g4 square, then rook to e4 will trap the piece. Or if black tries to play queen to g6, then knight to h4 will do the same. So here black should lose the queen and most probably the game. So in this position, bishop to b6 will not work, and let's see what happens if black castles. So after castling, white should continue the attack by playing knight to g3, attacking the queen, and after queen to g6, knight to h4, black is having a amazing bishop captures on c3, which is indicating that okay, you capture my bishop and I'm gonna capture yours. So white should react to this. Here white will play bishop to e3, and now, oh sorry, queen to e3, not, that's not the bishop. Here white will play queen to e3, and after the bishop attacks the queen again by playing bishop to d4, then we have a series of exchanges like knight captures on g3, bishop captures on e3, and knight captures on f8. We have bishop captures on g5, knight captures on e6, and after f captures on e6 and rook captures on e6, here white has emerged up with a clear exchange up. Here, with accurate play, white can easily win the game. So now let's see what happens if black plays f6. So after f6, here white is having an amazing knight captures on f6, which comes with an attack on the king as well as on the queen. So after g captures on f6, here white will just grab this bishop, rook captures on e6, and after king to d7, here white is having an amazing move. So just feel free to pause the video and find out what that move is. Well, I'll give you a couple of seconds. So are you ready? In here, white can go for rook captures on c6, and now this is you can see that this is funny. This rook is attacked twice, this bishop is hanging here, but believe it or not, both of the pieces are untouchables. Let's see one by one. Well, if king captures on c6, then after knight captures on d4, which comes with check as well as an attack on the queen. So whatever the black king moves, white will just simply grab black's queen and will be a clear queen up for the rest of the game. Same with b captures on c6, because if b captures on c6, then knight to e5 will just nab the queen. So thinking all this, black can try to play king to c8, which looks logical, and now white can grab this f6 pawn and will be a clear piece up for the rest of the game, and here white is having an easy victory. So let's see the third variation, that is what happens if black plays h6. Well, if black plays h6, then white is having an amazing posting for the bishop, that is bishop to f6, and believe it or not, this bishop is untouchable over here, because after g captures on f6 and the knight captures on f6, which comes with an attack on the king as well as on the queen. So after bishop to f6, here black can go for bishop to e7, after which white should grab this bishop, and after knight captures on e7, white can simply grab this pawn, which will lead to an endgame, which is very good for white. Here, firstly, white is giving a threat to capture the bishop and isolate the pawn, so black can try and save the bishop by playing bishop to d7, and now after knight to c5, which comes with an attack on the bishop as well as on the pawn. So here black can play bishop to c8, and now after knight to b5, which comes with a threat of knight captures on c7, which will be a fork, and now this pawn cannot be saved. So all in all, it will be a winning game for white. But in this position, the most common move from black perspective, which is played till now, is queen to a5, which comes with a threat of capturing the bishop. But now here white will sacrifice the entire bishop and play knight captures on d4. So after g captures on f6 and knight captures on f6, which comes with check as well as an attack on the knight. So let's see one by one. And please note that the king cannot come to the d8 square, since after knight captures on f6, this will come with an attack on the king as well as on the queen. So black will definitely lose the queen after this. The only move that is king to e7. And now just feel free to pause the video once again and find out what will white play here in order to continue the game. Well, I'll give you a couple of seconds. So, are you ready? In here, white will play an awkward looking move, that is b4, which is a bit tricky because if queen captures on b4, then knight to d5 will just nab the queen. So here white is just taking advantage of the fact that this bishop is pinned. So thinking all this, black can try and capture this pawn by knight. So after knight captures on b4, white will just capture this bishop, and here the best move from black is king captures on f6, and from this move black king enters in a mating net. So the attack starts with the move queen to d4, and wherever the king moves, like if the king moves to the g6 square, white will just simply take the rook and will be a clear rook up. Here if black tries to scare you by playing knight captures on c2, which comes with a double attack, which comes with a fork on the rooks. So here white can give this knight to f4 check, and here black should be careful. For example, if black plays king to g5, then rook to e5 will be a fork. It can nab the queen. So the king should come to the f5 square, and after king to f5, white is having an amazing check, that is queen to h7 check, which can gain black's knight. Because if black is greedy and capture your knight, then rook to e4 will be a checkmate. In 3 maybe. So all in all, it will be a winning position for white. So you can see that I've come back to the main position. Here we will try our second variation, that is queen to a5. So after queen to a5, white will just simply capture this knight, and here once again black is having two options, like bishop to e7 or bishop to e6. So let's try one by one. So if bishop to e7, white can again go for bishop to g5, and here I've already mentioned that f6 would be a blunder. So here black can respond with bishop to e6, but after bishop to e6, white just simply capture this bishop, and after knight captures on e7, white can simply grab this pawn, queen captures on d4, which will force black to castle kingside. And now after knight to c5, which comes with a double attack on this bishop, here black starts to face serious problems. Please note that if black scares you by playing rook to d8, white is having knight captures on b7. Here white is emerging up with a superior position. So after queen to a5, black can defend with bishop to e6, and now here white should be careful. White cannot capture this d4 pawn right away, because if knight captures on d4 and after knight captures on d4, white cannot capture this knight since white's rook is hanging. So here white can reply with bishop to d2, and after queen to d5, here white can quickly set a very nice trap by playing bishop to g5, which will prevent black from castling queenside. Here if black is a bit aggressive and he foolishly plays bishop to b4, this will lead to an instant disaster. Here white can start the attack by playing c3, and at first sight it looks like that black can easily capture this pawn, but that's not the case. For example, if black captures this pawn, after d captures on c3, white is having an amazing knight to f6 check, which also comes with an attack on the queen. So after g captures on f6, white can easily grab the queen, taking the advantage of the fact that this bishop is pinned. So here white has emerged up with a clear queen up and will easily win this game. So guys, now we arrive at the last variation, and now let's see what happens if black plays queen to d8. So after queen to d8, white is going to capture this knight with this rook. So this comes with check, and after bishop to e7, here white will capture this pawn, and after knight recaptures. So after white captures on d4, and if black guards with this bishop to d7, here black will find to his horror that he cannot castle on the king side, because this rook and queen battery are eyeing on the d7 bishop. So all in all, it will be a winning position for white. So in this position, instead of knight captures on d4, black can try and play castle. So let's see what happens after this. So if black castles, here white can play bishop to f4 with an attack on the c7 pawn, and now after knight captures on d4 and rook captures on d4, black is having serious problem in defending this pawn. So all in all, here white will emerge with a clear pawn up, and all in all it will be a winning game for white. So I hope you have enjoyed my videos, and please subscribe my channel in order not to miss my future uploads. So thank you for watching.